Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Tuesday. I hope all is well. I hope if you're over here in the UK, you are not too hot. It is pretty sweltering at the moment, but hey, can't complain too much, can we? Because it's rained pretty much non-stop since the supposed summer began. So let's enjoy the sunshine while it lasts. And to top things off, Arsenal have made a sign-in as well. Sign-in number 2 has arrived. Obviously, Albert Lokonga, that was confirmed yesterday by the club, the 21-year-old arriving from Anderlecht in a deal that could end up being worth about 18 million with all add-ons included. Arsenal very excited about this one, happy to get it done. It's obviously been in the works for a long time. We've all seen it bubbling along during the summer. They finally got him over the line. There was never really too much panic that they weren't going to sign him. They always believed he would. It's been done basically for 2 weeks anyway. He's been over here for well over a week now in his quarantine, but they waited as Arsenal always do, and then finally confirmed the news yesterday. He will be travelling with the squad tomorrow when they fly out to America for the Florida Cup. We're wearing number 23 shirt for Arsenal this season with Sambi, not Lokonga, on the back. I'm sure you've seen most of it, but in case you haven't, is what some of the key players have said around that. Mikel Arteta says Albert is a very intelligent player. He's showing great maturity in his performances during his development. He's being coached very well by Vincent Kompany and his team at Anderlecht. I know Vincent very well, and he talks so highly about Albert and the positive impact he had at Anderlecht in recent seasons. We're confident Albert's ready for the next stage in his development, and we're looking forward to welcoming a new member of our squad with his quality and presence. So they're the words of Mikel Arteta. And Edu added, we are delighted Albert has signed with us, as there's a lot of interest in him and he was a big target. Albert is a player we've been tracking for some time, and he'll bring us strength in depth in the centre of midfield. We look forward to his continued development with us. Now, very interesting there in both of those quotes from Arteta and from Edu, they both talk about his continued development. And I think that sums up quite a bit about what this transfer is for Arsenal. Lokonga, I expect he's going to play a big part next season, but for me, he's going to come in more of a sort of Ceballos replacement, so that third choice central midfielder. I still think Arsenal are going to sign another central midfielder, which I'll get to later on in this video, to play alongside Thomas Partey, a more experienced, seasoned, Premier League ready player, perhaps compared to Lokonga. I think the fact that both Arteta and Edu there are talking about his development kind of says a little bit about where they believe he is. Obviously, he's been playing over in Belgium, so not being in one of the top 5 leagues over the last couple of years. In and around the Belgium picture now, but still hasn't made his senior debut for the first team for the seniors. So he's very much one for the future. He is going to play, but I don't see him being absolutely, Thomas Partey's first choice partner in midfield. So I think it's going to be someone who's going to be signed to progress during the next couple of seasons. He's believed to have a very, very high ceiling. Look, everyone you speak to about him is very, very excited about his potential and what sort of player he could become. But in terms of whether he is that player right now, I don't think so. I think we're going to be seeing him more as the sort of first backup option for the midfield rather than the absolute guaranteed starter. So he absolutely fills the space in the squad. It's very similar to Nuno Tavares. These were 2 priority positions for Arsenal in the transfer market this summer. They they needed a proper backup for Kieran Tierney, who can provide cover at left back and also play at right as well. They've done that with Tavares, and they knew they needed to bring someone in to replace Dani Ceballos, really, who, whatever you think about Dani Ceballos, for the last 2 years, he's been a very influential figure at Arsenal in terms of games played, minutes played. So for him not to be in the squad now, that leaves a very big hole, and Arsenal have moved to fill that with Ceballos, and that's with Lokonga, and that's before you even think about Guendouzi's gone, Torreira's going to go. Partey and El Neni could have Africa. Well, we'll have African Cup of Nations duty halfway through the season. So central midfield is a very, very key area for Arsenal, and bringing in someone like Lokonga was an absolute priority. And so this is another one that ticked off the box for Arsenal. 2 in, plenty more to come, I would say. And Lokonga, speaking about his move, said, look, it's a big move because I've been playing for Anderlecht for 10 years. So it's going to be my first big move to another country. It's a big step, but I feel confident because we have to be in the football world. You have to feel confident about yourself. I'm looking forward to the league and I can't wait to start. And he was asking, where's your best position? Is it, sort of number 6? Is it higher up the pitch? And he says, I can play both. I can play as a 6 and I can play like a box-to-box, but people say that I'm better in the 6 positions. And people that I've spoken to about Lokonga who have seen him play, because I freely admit I've barely seen him at all, apart from in the old YouTube videos once it emerged that Arsenal were close to signing him. But everyone that I've spoken to who has seen him play a lot, certainly sees him as more of a sort of deep lying player in the midfield who can break the lines. He's got good passing ability. He can break lines and drive forward, like he says there, about being box to box. But his best role is in the more sort of deeper lying number 6 position, but potentially sort of Thomas Partey-like type player. So Arsenal very happy to get that one done, and welcome to the club, Albert Lokonga. So as I say, that's 2 in now. And I think there'll be plenty more to come. There'll certainly be some more to come. And perhaps the next one will be Ben White. That hopefully, fingers crossed, if nothing goes wrong, could well be confirmed next week. Now, I'm off on holiday next week, so I'm not going to be around. You're not going to have many videos from me once the end of this week hits. I am off to Devon for a bit with the family. Enjoy the seaside. No doubt get absolutely drenched because it's probably going to rain every single day, because that's what happens when you take a holiday in England. So I'm not going to be around if Ben White does get announced next week, but Arsenal are hoping, once he gets back from his holiday, which he's on at the moment, that they could maybe get his medical done next week and get that deal wrapped up for Ben White. Obviously the deal has been agreed with Brighton now for around £50 million, and that's with all add-ons and things like that. It's all been tied up. Personal terms aren't going to be an issue with Ben White. That's been sorted for a long time, and it's just a case of getting him back from holiday, getting his medical done, and getting him signed on. Now, obviously, Arsenal are going to be in America next week. They fly out tomorrow, and they spend about a week over there. They've got a game on Saturday and then a game on Wednesday, and then they're going to fly back. And so it could be at the end of that week, perhaps, if that we might see Ben White link up with Arsenal for the first time with the squad. Anyway, obviously they don't have to be here for him to come back and do his medical and all that sort of stuff. But hopefully that will be sign-in number 3 for Arsenal, and that will take their outlay to about £75 million so far this summer. 50 on Ben White, about 18 on Lokonga, about 8 on Nuno Tavares. I think what they need to do now, Arsenal, as well, is really sort of concentrate and try and get some players out the door, because they haven't managed to sell Granit Xhaka yet. That's still ongoing with Roma. They haven't managed to find Lucas Torreira club at the moment. Admittedly, he's on holiday, so that's a little bit delayed because he was in action with Uruguay for the Copa America. We've got to sort out the Joe Willock situation. We've got to sort out Ainsley Maitland-Niles, perhaps, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah. It's a lot of work for Arsenal to do right now. Richard Garlick and Edu are going to be very, very busy between now and the start of the season, which is only in 24 days' time, I think it is now, that the season gets underway with Arsenal versus Brentford on that Friday night. And lots of work for Arsenal to do. Danny Mills, I don't know why I'm even going to quote him on this video, because he's so totally bitter and about Arsenal, but he just makes me laugh. And he's been doing the rounds this week with a few things to say about Arsenal. He's had a pop at Robert Pires, and now he's talking about the Ben White deal, and he says the only thing I'm surprised at is that Ben White has gone to Arsenal. Let's assume that he'll be at Arsenal for 2 or 3 years at least before he goes somewhere else. I just think he is better than that. What is he going to win at Arsenal? A League Cup? Is he lucky? Maybe the FA Cup? I think he is an exceptional player, and I think it's a fantastic signing for Arsenal. I'm just a little bit surprised that Manchester United, who are looking for centre-half, have not come in for him. Oh, Danny Mills, how bitter. I said this on Twitter a couple of days ago. He literally, when he goes to bed at night and he shuts his eyes, I know for all he can see still, however many years later, 15 odd years later, he's getting nutmegged by Thierry Henry in the corner of Highbury. So bitter. I couldn't believe what he said about Robert Pires, talking about didn't want him to leave Arsenal because he wanted to boot him up in the air one more time. He couldn't even get close enough to Robert Pires, Danny Mills, to be able to kick Robert Pires one more time. You shouldn't even be able to mention his name. And then he's just so bitter. He got embarrassed time and time again by Arsenal, and it's so blatant whenever he comes on as a pop on the radio. And that's just rubbish what he's talking about with Ben White. Absolutely rubbish. What's he going to win? Arsenal, League Cup and FA Cup? I think Danny Mills would have been lucky to win something like that during his career. Anyway, enough about Danny Mills. I don't know why I shouldn't even have mentioned him on this video. Apologies for that. Okay, so I mentioned at the start about Albert Lokonga and the fact that Arsenal are potentially going to bring in another midfielder. I still do believe that is going to be the case. It hasn't really moved forward yet. The situation with Manuel Locatelli continues to drag on over in Italy. For me, I just think Arsenal need to pull the plug on this one now. I mean, maybe they'll get it done and Juventus won't get a deal done, but I just feel like if the player's not absolutely desperate to be joining Arsenal and he's got his heart set on Juventus, why are you wasting your time still waiting to see what happens with it? Not lots of Swallow officials and journalists and Italian media are using Arsenal's name a lot over there for this one. It all feels like a little bit of a game by Sassuolo to desperately get the money up at Juventus. And for me, I just feel Arsenal perhaps should be moving on from this one and don't waste your time any longer on it and move on to other targets, because bringing in a midfield and sorting out that central midfield partner for Thomas Partey is absolutely key. They need to get Granit Xhaka sorted one way or the other, and then they need to bring in a replacement. And Locatelli is obviously one of those players on the list. I've mentioned it before. Ruben Neves is another. But that money for Ruben Neves that Wolves are kind of looking for at the moment, 35 million, is a bit of an issue, and that hasn't really moved forward too much from the talks that they've had with Wolves about him. Camavinga is another player who's long been mentioned. I've never really heard it myself that is absolutely something that Arsenal are going for, but there's clear reports from elsewhere that Arsenal are looking at him, and you'd expect they would be. I don't, as much as I really rate Camavinga as well, and I think he's a very good player, again, even if you're going to be spending that sort of money to bring him in, he's a very young player still, and although he's quality, you're kind of buying potential again then, and still I kind of feel like you need Arsenal, this is such an important season for them, they really need to bring in someone who's absolutely bang ready to go in the Premier League this weekend, this season, to play alongside Granit Xhaka. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. I think they need to also concentrate on getting people out, and perhaps that will help bring the money in there where you can then make the moves for the midfielder that you want. And Joe Willock is clearly one of those players that they could sell to get some money in. The issue there is that the Newcastle are the club that really wants him. Newcastle haven't got any money because Mike Ashley doesn't want to put it in because he's trying to sell the club, and now that the sort of arbitration hearing over their takeover has been delayed until 2022, and that kind of feels like Newcastle now are stuck with Mike Ashley definitely for another season. Is he going to pay any money when he's trying to sell the club? Don't really know, and that's not going to be ideal for Arsenal when you're potentially looking for about £25 million to sell Joe Willock. Steve Bruce was talking about it. He said, as I've said, it's Arsenal's decision. Until Arsenal make a decision, a bit like all the big clubs when they have a look over pre-season, we'll keep monitoring and badgering away. We'd love to do something, but it's still Arsenal's call. It's a tough one for Joe Willock. I've spoken about it many times on these videos before in terms of what you do for him. Do you keep him? Do you hope he can replicate that sort of goal-scoring form for Arsenal next season? My issue is I'm not quite sure where he fits into this system that Mikel Arteta plays. He's not going to play at number 10. He's not going to be ahead of Emile Smith-Rowe, or potentially another player that Arsenal might bring in that position, because we know they're looking at it. There isn't really a number 8 in this Arsenal team because of the 4-2-3-1 formation that Arteta seems to have settled in. Perhaps he will move to 4-3-3, and then he could potentially play Willock at 8, but we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. But I kind of feel like if you get a really big, decent offer for Joe Willock, it's got to be one you really consider. But as I've said, the issue is Newcastle are certainly the front runners for him, and they haven't got too much money, so it might be a case of having to agree some sort of obligation, a loan with an obligation to buy. But I'd be fuming if Arsenal give Joe Willock away on a free. You look at some of the prices that other clubs have been receiving for their bit part fringe players this summer even. You look at what Liverpool are doing, Chelsea are doing, and if Arsenal go and end up selling Joe Willock, who's just scored 7 in a row in the Premier League on the cheap, when he's still got a couple of years left in his contract, he's English, homegrown, I'd be fuming. And I know a lot of you would as well. Arsenal have got to learn to sell better. They can't just give away players. So, and they're in a strong position, you would think, for Willock. So they've got to be firm when it comes to striking a deal for him. Okay, before I go, just a little update on the Florida Cup. As I said, Arsenal fly out tomorrow. Interesting to see what sort of size squad Mikel Arteta takes for that one. Do you do what you do for Scotland and take a number of the youngsters, or do you just make it a little bit smaller and go with a more senior squad for the 2 games you're going to play over there? We'll find out soon enough. Team flying out on Wednesday. They play Inter Milan on Sunday, and then it's either Everton or Millonarios on Wednesday. The winner of the Arsenal-Inter Milan game plays the winner of the Everton-Millonarios game. The loser plays the loser. And then Arsenal will come back. It's interesting call going out to America in the middle of what's going on at the moment. Is it a bit of a risk given the potential coronavirus transmission? Hopefully not. Arsenal will be in a protective bubble over there. as all kind of sporting elite teams are. But we've seen what happens when a lot of teams go abroad and do these travels. I'm sure a lot of you are rugby fans, and you've seen what's been going on in South Africa with the Lions at the moment. So maybe it's a bit of a risk for Arsenal, but I'm sure they're getting a bit of money for this, and as we know, money talks at the moment. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Appreciate your time as always. Please do, if you're over here in the UK, get out, enjoy the sunshine, get that sun lotion on, remember. And I will speak to you very, very soon. Have a good day, everyone.